Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. We are glad you are here. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, whatever your gender identity, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on Monacan land. My name is Matt Canning. I'm the president-elect. If you are with us for the first time on Zoom or in the sanctuary, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this congregation we love. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website, uulynchburg.org, under Sunday Services, or fill out the yellow card found in the back of the chair in front of you and place it in the offering basket during the offering. We offer a special welcome to Generosity Sunday speaker, Cynthia Coles, a longtime friend of our congregation. Thank you for being with us today. For those who would like to make a donation by an app, UUCL, is now using Venmo rather than PayPal. Next week, we will have an interactive service. If you will be a Zoomie next week or think you might, please let Reverend Terry or Courtney know this week. Reverend Terry will bring you some materials so you can participate in our interactive service. Following this service, please join us for social time in Drysdale Hall or on Zoom. And our online auction is still open until 11 p.m. tomorrow night. So please, if you haven't checked it out, please get on there and check that out too. Now, I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into the service by taking some slow, calming breaths.
It's wonderful to be together this morning, connected through time and space. So Zoomies, will you wave good morning to the Roomies? Roomies, say good morning to the Zoomies. It's great to be together this morning. As we share our chalice lighting words, let us join in our unison response. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. And let us now rise in body or spirit as we share together our opening hymn 123, Spirit of Life. and I'd like to invite those who are young at heart and our children to come forward. Good morning, Polly.
You look so nice and pretty today. Hi. What does pretty come? Oh, did you make your necklace?
I love that necklace. Yeah.
It's really cute, isn't it?
I thought it might be a ghost. It looked kind of ghosty. I thought I did turn on my mic. I'm green. I'm good. Okay. All right. So we have such a fun book this morning. I really like it.
Me
It is
too.
called Every Little Letter. And there they are, all in their little boxes. Uh-huh. Once upon a time, there was a city of letters surrounded by walls. The letters were all the same. Their conversations were pleasant, but not very interesting. So this city is the city of H. Yeah, and they don't have any other letters, so all they can say to each other is H. Yep. The H's felt safe behind their walls. They knew other letters lurked outside, different letters. The H's had built the walls around their city long ago to protect themselves. And the H's were happy enough, except for one small, curious H. She wondered what the other letters looked like. She wondered what they ate. She wondered if they even existed. One day, the small H found an opening in the wall. She peered through it and saw an eye. The eye did not look dangerous. It did not look scary. The H slowly reached her hands through the opening. The eye reached out too. And together, they made something extraordinary. Now they can say, hi. But a big H saw this, and soon the wall was sealed up again. The small H missed her new friend. She had an idea. She sent him some letters, lots of letters. But one flew astray, and it landed with the O's. Oh! The idea spread from one small letter to another. The X's tic-tac-toe games became much more exciting. The B's playground was full of surprises. Boo! And the Y's finally got some answers. The answer was because. But the big letters found out, the little letters, and they said, uh-oh. The little letters had no words to describe their sadness because now they're back to just being by themselves. The H had only a small D and a small N she had managed to hide away. Why were the big letters so afraid? The situation seemed hopeless until she looked at things differently. She turned that D and N upside down and it said up. The H spread the word. Let's go up. Night fell, and look, they're climbing up the walls. And day dawned, and they were together. But the big letters were still afraid until one reached out. Then another, and another. And now they can say, hi, okay, hey. Wow. How do you tear down walls? With words at first, like courage and kindness and cooperate and help and give, then brick by brick. After the walls came down, the letters were silly together. Play, slide, snickerdoodle, and serious together. Trust, listening, friendship, and finally, together, they discovered the most important word of all, love. The end. So, thank you.
I like
love
that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they made really good friends with each other, and now they can do so much together that they couldn't do by themselves, right? Because you can't make words, very many words, with just one letter. And yeah, so, but when we work together, we can make all kinds of cool things. And I like that this book talked about being silly, because today is our last week of talking about joy upstairs. And today we're going to talk about the joy of being silly together and making music together and moving our bodies.
I only have one day of that, and now it's my second.
Yeah, so we're going to have so much fun. All right, are we ready to go upstairs? All right, let's do it.
Do you want this right here? No. Okay. Whoopsie, I think there's a little turmoil there. So it's always a gift to us that each month we have a Generosity Sunday, and it's wonderful to have Cynthia Coles here and Makana and a number of volunteers in the sanctuary today who have volunteered at the Veggie Spot over the years.
So if
Makana?
you volunteered at the Veggie Spot over the years, raise your hand so we get to see you. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Thank you. David, could I have my PowerPoint? Here we go. So the Veggie Spot at Daniels Hill has been a partner with our church since 2013. Next slide. Veggie Spot is a small but miraculous place. It's a small plot of land on Daniels Hill, up near, not far from the Point of Honor, if you don't quite know where Daniels Hill is. And it is in what is called a food desert, which means there is no general grocery store easily accessible to the people on Daniels Hill, which means if you don't have a car to get to a grocery store, you'd have to take the bus or pay for a taxi. It also means that fresh vegetables aren't easy to get. Convenience stores have lots of things, but they don't have lots of fresh vegetables. In 2013, Daniels Hill, the Veggie Spot, decided it needed a restart. And I met Cynthia, and we began our partnership with our congregation and the Veggie Spot that year. We needed a restart to help it grow bountiful, magnificent veggies for the Daniels Hill neighbors. And neighbors and other friends like us helped make this happen. And the result is healthy vegetables and really good friendships. Next slide. And you see some of the children. Next slide, David. Thank you. We started in 2013 by rebuilding the Veggie Spot. Go back. Back one. Oops. There we go. By rebuilding the Veggie Spot from the ground up, we had to pull out a lot of weeds, and then we put down this great ground cloth. You see Bob there with a ground cloth, which we covered with gravel. You can see the gravel being done, and then there were raised beds that were built, and Bob Morse is there next to some of those raised beds. We all helped fill them and plant them. Next slide. And we made new friends. Cynthia, who is here, and Cynthia is one of the founders of the garden and has been a long-time coordinator of the garden. And then the second slide there, picture, is some of the children from the Bright Hope Learning Center in downtown Lynchburg who come out in the summer for a summer program, and we've helped with that too. And you can see, if you look carefully, Betty Corbin and Pat Bauer helping the children. I think we were either weeding or harvesting, but everybody is working very, very hard. It's a wonderful program, very wonderful. Next slide, please. Oops. And the ways that we've helped, and here is Jim Barton, we've helped with people power, like Jim Barton. We've also helped like with compost. You see our trusty expedition and dump trailer with our Wisdom Spirit Farm compost that's being shared. And we offer funds for seeds and tools and supplies. Next slide, please. So, the future is now, and that's why it's very exciting to have this be our focus for Generosity Sunday. Your volunteer hands are needed, your enthusiasm is needed, and your generosity for tools and supplies. Cynthia, would you come up and tell us a little bit about what's happening right now and what you need? So, here we go. So tell us some about what's new this year, Garden.
This year, we are starting to build on, so that you helped us start. The last time I was here, we started with purchasing beds, metal beds, and that was the last slide you saw. We bought 4, thanks to your help before. We were recently able to buy some more. We still need to get some more. So we'll be filling those beds and planting those beds. We've already started to plan. Started yesterday, a major day yesterday. I'm tired as I can be, but it was a good day, an excellent day with students from Liberty University who helped us and a few of our own volunteers.
So what have you planted so far? It's growing already, starting to grow in the garden.
We wanted to start doing this right. We were not on schedule. We ended up starting to plant our onions and potatoes in our old beds. The new beds have the onions, so we'll have onions, spring onions, come by, get spring onions. The potatoes will start a little bit later, so they're in the old beds, the wooden beds that are about to fall down. But once they are harvested, we have 3 types of potatoes. People tell us what they like, so we try to plant what they like. And they sometimes bring us seeds and things, so we plant what they say, plant this, and we just pray that it works out well, and it usually does. So we have white potatoes, yellow potatoes, and red potatoes. We have red onions, white onions, and yellow onions, because people like what they like. When they come by, they say, I want this, we get to take what they want to take. Yesterday, we planted tomatoes, peppers, and 4 kinds of green beans. We had purchased 2 kinds of green beans, and somebody gave us another type and another type. So we said, we've got a bed, we have 4 beds of green beans, and we have 2 beds with tomatoes already starting, and we have room for more peppers and squash and other good things as time goes on.
And let me tell you that the beds at the Veggie Spot are very, they're miraculously bountiful. It works really well. So tell me, what kind of volunteer help do you need, and what days of the week do you usually have volunteers come?
Right now, we need volunteers to work in the garden. Any day you can work, but mainly we work in the mornings. There are 3 ladies, and sometimes we have a man stop by, and we've had men to stop by from various times. We try to have the hours between like 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 or 10, if you can get there earlier. So we need people to volunteer to work in the garden, to support the garden any way you can, and also to support our children's program. We have a summer program for children. We try to start that in about June or so, and go for 4 to 6 weeks with that. We have need for board members. We have a board that's getting started, and we're struggling to get people to work on this board who knows a little bit about board work and gardening and all that. We need master gardeners. We have need for children, families, youth, and adults. Our elderly people still come by and visit us and give us tips about this, that, and the other. So we can use anybody if you're available. We just have to work on the schedule. So right now, it's like Monday mornings or Tuesday mornings. We usually let you know if we have your contact information. Otherwise, we try to post it on our Facebook page.
So look at the Facebook page, and Cynthia also has some forms that we'll have in Drysdale Hall to fill out if you're interested in volunteering. And if you have a family, be sure to let Cynthia know, so that on the special Saturdays when they have family times, we can make sure to include you. What kind of supplies and other things how's that tool shed you have in the garden?
Well, some of you know about our tool shed because you've helped us build it and prop it up and do whatever. Yesterday, we had to put a tarp on the tool shed because it's leaking, and the door is still not working, so we have a brick there holding the door closed because the wind comes through and take that. But our tools are old tools. Many of the tools were donated when we first got started in 2009, and they were rusty then, but people took them out of their sheds and gave them to us, and we used them. And We've had friends come by and say, you need to buy new tools, and we'll say, yes, ma'am, but you can't just buy new tools because, we're gonna have the funds to do that. So, we have need for the shed is on the list, but we have need to replenish the beds. We have 6 other beds, 3 other beds to replace, and we're working on another, way of doing our compost pile, so, that may be helpful to know that. We have need for, tools, the shed. We need a covered area for some kind of shade. That was on our list for a long time. If you've been over there to work, when it's hot, and there's no place to hide. So we would like to have that replaced done at some time. We've had all kinds of things offered to us as a shed for covering stuff, but it hasn't worked very long. We got rid of one of the things last donated to us. We don't say no when people give us stuff. They say, you can repurpose this, and we try our best to do that. And it works very well a lot of times, but they don't last a long time. If it's on the last leg when you give it to us, it's gonna go soon thereafter, so that happens as well often. So we could use something like that. We're trying to redo our first brochure that had where we started, the blacktop and all of that stuff, and with newer things. We would like to do a Zoom presentation or something to give just to play from time to time. That is not my forte. So if you have great talent and skills with computer stuff and technology stuff, we can use you. If you can copy things for us, that would help us a lot. We've lost some of our resources we had in the past in the community, and we're needing to engage with more people there are new people in the community, in the data community now, and they have not really connected us like the other families did. So as people leave this world and go, we miss them, and we miss the people who don't take their place. It was a very safe place to be, and in the past, we had people like McConnell could always depend on, if you just need, she'd just be there, pop up without, I have to say this, I wasn't gonna say all this, but when we started our children's program, we were waiting to get started, and we were praying for some help, and we thought we had help with our group, but we did not. And so this lady I had met called me and said, we want to do something hands-on. And what can you use help with? And we said, our children's program. This lady, and some of you helped her, your book club, with our first class, all those children that came on the bus, like 30-some children, we were expecting like 10 or 12. We had 2 groups of children. So we can use you, if you have skills, just whatever your skills are, we can use them in our garden. And I think we're so successful because we don't say no for anything. If you say, here's something, we're gonna take it and see if we can use it, and sometimes it often comes a little handy. So I had a list of things, and they're probably just too much to say at this point, but I can talk to you later for detail if you want to, and we have an application we're trying to use. We had a website that was offered to us after our last presentation in October when we celebrated our volunteers. That's not my forte, so we need people that can do the things that we cannot, and I appreciate those who offer to help, and we accept all your help whenever you give it.
Thank you. So Cynthia will be with us during coffee hour, so come and talk with her. The Veggie Spot is a wonderful place to make new friends and to do worthwhile things, and just you get hot and sweaty and it's all really good. So consider it as a possibility for your hands and your heart and your generosity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I could just say one other thing. I'd like to just thank you for being involved with us, but more than anything, I appreciate your outreach to the community and the causes that you celebrate and you represent. And I call them the causes of Christ. And I wanted to say that based on what you've been doing lately that I've seen you do in the community. I wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia and Makana. Today, we take an offering of our gifts for the work of this community, both in this building and in the larger world, as well as support for the Veggie Spot. Sunday, we share together the joys and the concerns that spirit of life and love. We hold up today our concern for loved ones, for our human family. There are so many people suffering in mind, body, or spirit today. We particularly hold in our hearts Justin and Betty and Tom and Sam and others whose names we don't know, but who need to know that they are surrounded by compassion and love and care. The world is a wonderful and mysterious and often dangerous place. And it is filled with beauty and mystery. We hold up today our willingness to explore that mystery, to understand life better, to engage with issues and concerns that are uncomfortable, but that seek justice for all people. May we, as we look at the world, as we see what is broken, may we find a way to do our work in the world, the work that is ours, that is meant for us. And in this way, may we do our part to build more justice, more peace, more love in the world. This we ask in the name of all that is holy. Amen. All our lives, we are called to explore and deepen our understanding of life and the sacred. How we answer life's questions will shape our faith. David, thank you.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
So, my thoughts about this service sort of bubbled up after an experience that I had preaching at First Christian. And I really enjoyed being with their congregation, and I sort of feel like they're our sister congregation. And when I went there to preach, I felt like I was at a place of peace with my beliefs. Yet while I was sitting in the chancel area, and they have a big pulpit in this wooden area, so I could sit behind the pulpit and nobody could see me. So I was sitting there, enjoying being there, and I realized that I could not participate in the communion ritual. Now, this was a big deal for me, coming from a United Methodist background. And so, you know, internally I started asking myself, why do I feel so strongly about not participating? This was the first time I'd had that thought. And I realized that, like many of you who are here, that I had reached a point of transformation. Many of us come to Unitarian Universalism because we are at a point in life when we are deconstructing or reconstructing our faith. And it doesn't happen just to new folks. It happens to all of us at one time or another. So I wanted to share some of my new understandings because, like you, I try to deepen my faith. So sharing my new learnings this morning is by no means a statement of what you should believe, but it's an affirmation that as Unitarian Universalists, we're all searching and growing, finding new understandings of life and faith. And that's a blessing. And so it seems appropriate to talk about this as we end our month where we focused on joy. So this week I found a poem that, now that I'm a little more aged, felt appropriate. And this is by Roseanne Shapiro. Found in my garden, translucent, marked with diamond shapes and lines. A neighbor tells me it's the skin of a garden snake. I know, I worked in gardens. I hang it on a tree branch. Actually, mine is on my back door. Marveling at its fragile beauty, wondering why it was left behind. Days later, I think about my 8th decade transition, wondering if I had shed a skin, a layer of life that no longer defines me, that belongs to another lifetime. I was the child in the picture on my desk, the one with curly hair that became straight when she cut it off. Someone told her, if you cut it really short, it'll grow back curlier. Now I wear my salt and pepper, my straight salt and pepper, to match wrinkles born of 8 decades on the planet. I've shed a skin. My ideas about how my life would turn out, dreams that remain dreamy, unrealized, transparent like the skin I've been shedding. The Brooklyn ways of being followed me to Baltimore, Bloomington, Boston, and over the bridge. I've shed the too tight skin, bad fit for the big life growing inside, unseen, untouched. Its magic working silently, the being I wake up with every morning. Days ahead fill with anticipation as this skin begins to feel like it belongs to whoever I've become. For some of you who are fairly new or visiting, you might find it strange for the minister to be talking about how my spiritual beliefs are changing. Actually, examination of one's belief is at the core of spiritual and religious life. While it may seem like a new phenomenon, humanity has always deconstructed beliefs that no longer fit. Think of Paul, Buddha, Moses, Luther, the composer of Amazing Grace, you, me. Faith is meant to be examined. And if we continue to take our beliefs seriously, if we learn and grow, our beliefs will often evolve. Our search for meaning may take us out of the faith of childhood, as it did for me, into new understandings of faith. Transformation is one of our Unitarian Universalist values. Too often, folks join us distressed that they've been censored for questioning their faith of childhood that no longer speaks to their spiritual and religious journey. I say, hooray for change and uncertainty, for the skin that no longer fits comfortably. We were given hearts and minds to think and grow and care. For those of us who have come from a Christian background, we have too often been taught a faith that does not come from the teachings about love and compassion that are found not only in Jesus's teachings, but in all the world's major religions. Too often we cling to mistranslations and the imposition of power and politics into religion. Every faith is larger than our human understanding. When the box holding the small religion that we were taught gets suffocating, it's time for a bigger belief, to get out of the box. As we come to the end of April, which I said earlier, we focused on the topic of joy, we're keenly aware that ours is a faith based in universalism, understanding that it is love, not fear, that grounds us. That is the core of Jesus's teachings. So we can, with peace, ask the hard questions in life. While I'm a theist, I know that there are many of us sitting here for whom traditional religious terms may have no meaning. That is your path, and I honor that. Each of us has our journey that needs to be taken and honored and celebrated. What is most important is that we continue our religious journey to find the beliefs that are the core, the grounding for our lives. And I'm wondering, this is putting people on the spot, I'm wondering if there are some of you who have spiritual beliefs that no longer make sense to you, that you grew up with. And does anybody mind sharing some of those? When I was in high school, I read forward, the Apostles' Creed, I read forward to skip over the virgin birth. Are there beliefs that you have left behind? People are quiet. Think about that, and let's talk about it during social time. Teresa. So Teresa's is that you have to confess your sins. Yeah. Okay. So you gave that up. Okay. So I think what you're saying, Teresa, is that you gave that up before you came here, and I think that's what happens with a lot of us, that beliefs that we've outgrown sometimes start feeling uncomfortable before we find a place where we can feel at home. And I think that's Barb.
In the patriarchy, I was Catholic and men are born
Yeah.
closer to God.
Okay, so you gave up the patriarchy that men are closer to God than women. Blame it on Peter. He and Mary Magdalene fought all the time, yeah. And there are a number of other things that we might want to talk about during social time. The reason I want to share my insights is that I thought I was rocking along at peace with my spiritual understandings then. Wow. Here comes some new insights. Now, I'm no stranger to mystery or shifting beliefs, but sometimes a new awareness can be jarring or unsettling. I remember that after I changed my ordination from United Methodist to Unitarian Universalism, I thought I was done with my theological transition. Then, about 5 years after I became Unitarian Universalist, I was serving a congregation and I was sitting in my office, and it's like, oh, my worldview has shifted. Took me 5 years to get to that point. My faith and worldview were no longer based in fear, but in love. Jesus was the one, for me, who taught me about love, universal, all-inclusive, unconditional love. I didn't need to fear damnation anymore. I could be good for nothing. I love that phrase. You know, I could be good because I was trying to emulate the teachings and the life of Jesus. And I could be good for nothing because my faith was grounded in love, not fear. I wanted to do good, to live out Jesus's teachings. Was I done with changes? Ooh, no. The beliefs, let me add one more thing. I love this old story about one of the Universalist circuit riders who, you know, was going from town to town, and there was a little competition between, you know, the Calvinists and the Universalists, and, you know, who had the right view about faith. And so in one town that had 2 churches, the 2 ministers decided they were going to convert this Universalist circuit rider so that he would understand he needed to believe in hellfire and brimstone. So they kidnapped him. This is a true story. You can't make this stuff up. They kidnapped him and locked the 3 of them in the church basement. And they were going to stay there until they converted him. 3 days later, they came out, and he had converted both of them to Universalism. You know, sometimes these things happen. So the beliefs I'm exploring might feel upsetting or shocking to some of you. I apologize for that, but here I am. So this unnerving point of theological clarity hit me as I was sitting in that chancel area behind the pulpit at First Christian. So for quite some time, I've been uncomfortable with the focus of traditional Christianity on the cross and sin and damnation, rather than the teachings of Jesus based in love of every person. That day, sitting there, I realized to a core, to my very core, I'm Universalist. That's why I didn't want Universalist at the very last of our name. If God is truly loving, this is our historic belief, if God is truly loving, then no souls would be condemned for eternity. That's one of the earliest beliefs about who Jesus was. To participate in communion, for me now feels like I would be participating in a ritual focused on violence, not unconditional love. Does that make any sense to anybody? Jesus taught about unconditional love. That love and acceptance guides my life. I believe that in making Christianity a state religion in the 4th century, Christianity began moving away from the simple, beautiful, profound message of Jesus toward a form of Christianity based in violence and blood sacrifice. Now, this is sort of stark, but it makes sense in my brain. I don't believe that that kind of blood sacrifice is what Jesus professed or taught. Did he die an agonizing death? Yes. Did he need to atone for our sins? That question no longer resonates for me because I'm a Universalist. Those who see Jesus as our ethical and spiritual teacher may see his death on the cross as a political act that did not shift the focus of love that Jesus taught. A religion focused on violence at its core cannot also claim unconditional love. In my heart and brain, that's contradictory. And it's hard for me to say that because communion's always been important to me. Yet now I've come to realize that I can no longer support rituals based in violence and rejection. I could not, in good faith, therefore, partake in communion. Now, my clergy friends who I adore have talked with me about how I can translate the meaning of that ritual, but I can't hold the violence. That's just for me contradictory. I have to claim love over judgment. Am I completely comfortable with the theological implications of my newfound awareness? Not yet. I still need to go deeper in my spiritual diving. I want to explore with you in the coming weeks the insights you're gaining about your spiritual journeys. Y'all might have gone over this way. Whatever our evolution of faith has been, this is a place and a faith where we can continue our journey of deeper spiritual understanding. And sometimes new beliefs just sneak up on us. But what a joy it is to be in a faith tradition that calls us to question, to explore, to trust that there are folks around us whose journeys may be different from our own, but we can support each other as we deepen our personal spiritual lives. Oh, excuse me, this is what's wrong. It's not that, I'm sorry. slides down. Oh. I really do need somebody to dress me in the morning. Okay. So we can support each other as we deepen our faith. So rather than avoiding these questions, it's important for us to sit with them, to begin to see where the skin of our old self needs to be sloughed off for our new insights and growth. So this week, I found some thoughts from a person who goes by the tag, the gentle atheist. Isn't that cool? So he writes, our Unitarian Universalist tradition does not favor one particular notion about God or no God, about life after death, or about what kind of language even ought to mean. We believe it is not the role of the church or the minister to tell people what to think. We do, however, suggest that a person ought to think something. There's a wonderful mystery in the universe, the puzzles of life and death and the cosmos in which they play out are deeper than any single human mind. Our religion invites us to enter in and explore all the wonder, all the mystery. It is not about one faith being right while another faith is wrong. It is that sincere people of different faiths have much to teach one another, if only we can cease from arguing long enough to listen and be taught. So I invite us to listen to one another and learn from one another. I'm really interested in your explorations, so let's talk about what you're thinking. Let's share the breadth and depth of our life experiences, for we understand our questions and our search for meaning are sacred. I appreciate your willingness to hear about my current spiritual adventures. So in that spirit, let us rise in body or spirit to share hymn 354. time now to prepare to go to social time, either on Zoom or in Drysdale. So roomies, wave goodbye to our Zoomies. Zoomies, roomies, it's been great to be together. And Zoomies, if you're going to Zoom next week, let me know so I can bring you some materials for our adventure next week. So as our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we share these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our final words of blessing are from Dr. David Breeden. May your heart dance in wisdom and wonder. May golden light and a whispering breeze fill your moments with joy, the very spark of being. Live like a sage, play like a child. Dance with the moments as they arrive. May it be so. Amen.